Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with Rob. Glad to have you all on here. Got a lot of comments already over in the chat. Just gonna say we've got a lot of information to cover tonight, and I'm sure a lot of you are gonna have questions. So please, if you have questions, go ahead and start posting them over in the comments section, so we can get to those and make sure that we get everyone's questions answered tonight before the end of the show. I want to say thank you to everyone that popped in and is joining us tonight. I've got a really good show planned with open carry in South Carolina. This is a brand new law that just passed and allows constitutional carry within the state of South Carolina, and there has been a ton of questions. The law came out, everybody read the law. We have something called SLED, which is South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. They put out a brief to all law enforcement agencies, and I'm pulling it back up where I can take a look at it right quick. I can find it. Give me just a second here. Let's see. Yeah, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, H3594, Constitutional Carry Guidance to Chiefs, Sheriffs, and Law Enforcement Officers. And what this letter that SLED put out does is it basically breaks down the law into plain language, so law enforcement officers understand exactly what the law says, and gives them some guidance as far as what they can do, what they can't do, what to enforce, what not to enforce, and what changes have been made within the law. But guys, just want to say, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, that really helps our YouTube channel grow. It helps us to reach more people within YouTube. So subscribing really helps. Also, make sure you click the bell notification. That's going to let you know when we have new videos coming out and anytime we post new content on YouTube. But let's dig into this a little bit. H3594 Constitutional Carry Guidance. This is that's a mouthful, right? So I've got a list of questions that I've already put together myself with things that I had questions about, and I literally hung up the phone. I've got an attorney that's a really good friend of mine. His name is Robert Merding, Merting. If you're in South Carolina and you need anything firearms related, from the industry side to the individual side, from if you're doing a tax stamp, if you need a trust done, Robert is the guy to go to. He is my expert that I go to when I have questions regarding firearm law. And we've been on the phone for a little over an hour talking about a lot of things with H3594. And I had some very specific questions for him about the law, about some things within the law. And it's easy for him and I to talk because I understand firearms law very well in South Carolina. So we're bouncing back and forth. Hang on, let me kill this noisy phone of mine. Sorry about that, guys. Did not mean to interrupt the conversation. But so we're having a really good conversation, talking about the past law, talking about the current law that's just been signed into place, what's been repealed, what's been added, and then we really started digging into some very specific areas of the law and looking at that. And there's some things specifically within the law that I'm going to cover toward the end of the video that really surprised me, to be honest. They were in just, it was shocking. It was exactly what I thought that it was. And from reading through the law and reading through everything that SLED has put out, everything that's written within the law, it really shocked me that our state government allowed this one very specific item to slip through. And I think it's very important to talk about. I'm going to save it to the end and talk about it at the end of the video. But guys, it really shocked me. That's all I'm going to say about it. It really shocked me. So let's jump into my list of questions and answers that I have from the material that I've read, the answers that I've got from it, and then some of the answers that I've got from Robert Merding as well. And listen, guys, if you need a firearms attorney in South Carolina, Robert Merding, he is the guy to call. He will take care of you. Absolutely amazing guy. So let's jump into my stuff here. Question 1. Can I open or concealed carry in South Carolina as a non-resident of the state without a permit? I've had a lot of people outside of our state asking me this question, and I wanted to dig through this and give you an answer on this. Now, let me say this first and foremost. I am not an attorney, and I do not practice law. This is the answers that I have got from my research and from talking to from Robert, an attorney, and then some other people that I've talked to in the legal profession as well. But I'm not an attorney. If you have further questions about this from what I'm giving you tonight, please make sure you reach out to an attorney for guidance prior to doing so. So, can I open or concealed carry in South Carolina as a non-resident of the state without a permit? And the answer is yes. There is nothing in the new law prohibiting anyone, resident or non-resident, over the age of 18 in South Carolina from either open or concealed carrying a firearm, with the exception of certain areas that you cannot carry in that are very specifically defined within the law itself. And that leads us into question 2 and question 3. Can I open or concealed carry in South Carolina at the age of 18? And can I obtain a concealed weapons permit at the age of 18 in South Carolina? And the answer is yes to both of those. You can open or concealed carry at the age of 18, and you can obtain a concealed weapons permit in South Carolina now at the age of 18. The law says, notwithstanding any other provision of law except subject to subsection B, SLED must issue, and the key word there is must, issue a permit which is no larger than 3 1/2 inches by 3 inches in size to carry a concealable weapon to a resident or qualified non-resident who is at least 18 years of age and who is not prohibited by state law from possessing the weapon upon submission of the paperwork. And the paperwork is your application, a photo of your driver's license, proof of residence, or if the person is a qualified non-resident, proof of ownership of property in South Carolina. Your proof of your vision within 6 months, proof of training for the CWP class that you took, and fingerprint cards. But those are the requirements for a concealed weapons permit within the state of South Carolina. Now, the rub with this is, with the new law passing, the state is now going to be offering concealed weapons classes. And these concealed weapons classes are going to be through authorized instructors that have been certified through the state to teach the new concealed weapons class based on the new law that's passed. And it's going to be paid for, my understanding, what they've written in the law, it's going to be paid for by the state. And we'll dig into this whole scenario later. Let's roll into a few more questions, and then a few more of my questions, and then I'm going to jump into your guys' questions. So please, if you have any questions about anything related to concealed carry or open carry in South Carolina, the new H3594, please make sure you post your questions over in the chat, and I'll get to those in just a few minutes. Number 4, and this one, honestly, this one kind of surprised me. Can I be stopped by a police officer for open carrying a firearm? And the answer to that is no. Possession of a firearm alone is not a reason to stop an individual. To make a stop, there must be reasonable and articulable suspicion of a crime has occurred. Law enforcement officers cannot conduct a stop solely based or solely because a firearm is visible. And this is directly from SLED, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and their direction to sheriffs, chief of police, and law enforcement officers within South Carolina. This is a letter that was sent to them. And following that up, this one has been a law for a long time within the state, and honestly, I totally agree with it. And it's been changed. Number 5 is, do I have to tell a police officer I am carrying or have a firearm in my vehicle during a traffic stop? And in the past, it was state law that if you had a concealed weapons permit, if you were stopped by law enforcement for any reason, you handed them your driver's license, your concealed weapons permit, and you told the officer, there's a firearm within my vehicle. No issue. The new law says a concealed weapons permit holder or a person carrying a firearm without a permit pursuant to this law does not have the duty to notify a law enforcement officer that they are carrying a firearm. So that's a big change in our laws in this state, that you do not have to notify law enforcement that there's a firearm on you, or that there's a firearm in your vehicle, or there's a concealed firearm anywhere around you in your vehicle. You do not have a right, the law enforcement does not have a right to be notified, and you will not be fined for not notifying them going forward based off of this new law. Now, before I go any further, that's a number 5. I'm going to jump over here to our comments. We're going to kind of look through our comments and on our chat. Let's see what we've got here. Mr. Booth from Anderson County is here tonight. Mr. Landfill says, hi, how's everyone? Timothy Dim says, I'll be moving to Greenville area soon. Want to learn all I can about this. Timothy, if you have any questions whatsoever, make sure you pop them in tonight, and I will get to your question and answer your question before this live is over. Skeeter's Buzz says, good evening, Robbie. Hey, bud, how are you? Mr. River says, Pennsylvania is in the house. Good evening, Rob, and all the gents. Mr. River, just want to let you know when you come down in a few weeks for the gathering at the Clinton House, that based on our new current law, you can open carry or concealed carry within our state without having a permit. So just wanted to throw that out there to you. Skeeter's Buzz says, at Timothy Deem, I am closing on a house in 2 weeks in Moore, South Carolina in Spartanburg County. Hey, bud, good to have you in the neighborhood for sure. Chris Matthews says, hello, everyone. Don Filkins says, hi, Rob. Going to be an interesting topic. I'm in New Hampshire, and we've had constitutional carry for 7 years now. You know, that's one thing that I really want to do is look at some of the other 28 states that have constitutional carry and compare their state law to the new state law in South Carolina and see if there's any discrepancies between the two. If South Carolina allows more or allows less, or other states like New Hampshire allow more or allow less with what you can and can't do based off of the new law. And one thing that I can say that I really didn't dig into too deep in my questions that I'm answering tonight. One of the big things that I saw that was a change in South Carolina are the penalties if you do violate the law. And those are, all of them are progressive penalties, where the first offense is not very big, but anything after the first offense, there's jail time involved for firearm violations within the state. And then if there's if firearm is used in a crime, there are mandatory sentences for anyone that used a firearm in a violent crime. So it's one thing that if you live in this state, or if you're looking at moving to this state, I would definitely look at the law itself and where you can carry, where you can't carry, and really understand what the law is. And we're going to talk about some of it tonight. We're going to talk about the part of it tonight that directly relates to us as law-abiding citizens. The criminal side of it, I'm not going to get too deep into the criminal side of it, because that just isn't the majority of the people that's on my channel. So I'd be, preaching to myself if I was talking about that, just, hey, let's talk about the criminal stuff, and everybody's just crickets. But we're going to talk about the legal side of it that that could impact us as law-abiding citizens. We are going to talk about that quite a bit tonight. Jim Griner says, "Hi Dave, how are things?" The Tomcat 941 says, "Hey Robbie." Tomcat, hey, how you doing? Dwayne Booth, Timothy, Anderson County has cheaper taxes. They do. Pickens County as well. See where we are here. Dwayne Booth says LEO has to know how to read with comprehension skills first. Here's the thing with the letter that SLED sent out was written in very plain English that was very easy for anyone to understand. And I was really impressed with SLED for sending that letter out to all the law enforcement agencies that really spelled out the can do's and the can don'ts for law enforcement. It helped to clarify a lot of things that were written into the law that a lot of people had questions about, that were potentially gray areas that this letter that SLED sent out to the chiefs of police and sheriffs was very clear in what they stated. And we're going to go through a lot of the letter from SLED as well tonight. Chris Matthews says, "Hey Robbie, thank you for doing this subject." John G says, "Robert is also our attorney. He is fantastic." Yes, he is. Robert is an exceptional individual. And if you're in South Carolina and need an attorney for anything firearms related, Robert Merding is your guy to go to. Light Raider, South Carolina, Semper Fi, Jarhead. Semper Fi, bud. Appreciate it. Hulk 09, Semper Fi, brother. Happy to be here. 0621 radio operator, 09 to 13, came over from Sensible Prepper. Thank you for all you're doing here. Much appreciated. Hulk 09, I'm glad to do what I do and be able to share some of the information that I've been able to take the time and sit down and research and study and help you guys understand this law a little bit better, because if you just read through it, it will make your mind kind of go sideways. There's a lot to it. Dave Wright says, I lost you, Dave. Where are you? I like your gun rack. Dave, thank you, bud. It's just a couple of toys that I threw up on the wall back here behind me. I try and change them out pretty regularly, but these are some of my favorites that are back here that actually fit within most of the camera frame. A lot of my other stuff, my long range rifles, my precision rifle stuff, they'll end up being barrel that doesn't fit within the camera frame, and then suppressors on top of that. So I try and put stuff in here that really fits within the camera frame and looks good. Russ Michael says, "Hi from Pennsylvania." Russ, good to have you on tonight. R.W. Smith, what's up, my brother? Bob, it's good to have you on tonight, bud. Good to see you. I hadn't talked to you in a while. You need to give me a call. Boxer Papa says, "Good evening, everyone." Mr. Rivers says, "Evening, Bob. Good to see you." Timothy Dim says, "I plan on getting my permit anyway after 30 years in emergency services and carrying 1996 in different states. It just looks better in the eyes of the law if you have their permission." Timothy, that's one thing that I don't have in my notes are the benefits of having a concealed weapons permit in South Carolina. And since I don't have it in my notes and you brought it up, we'll go ahead and talk about it. I am a big proponent of having a concealed weapons permit for a few reasons. One, it makes transfers of firearms in South Carolina much, much easier. If you have a permit, you don't have to, the gun shop you're purchasing a firearm from is not required by law to call FBI NICS and request permission to be able to transfer this firearm to you. If you've already got a concealed weapons permit in South Carolina, that concealed weapons permit says, hey, this person can legally own a firearm. This person can legally carry a firearm. So when you go into a gun shop and buy a firearm, they fill out the form. They put your concealed weapons information down on it. They hand you the firearm and you walk out with it. That to me is one of the biggest reasons, if nothing else, to have a concealed weapons permit. The second big reason is not necessarily carrying within South Carolina, but carrying outside of South Carolina in other states that are reciprocal with South Carolina. Having that concealed weapons permit gives you the ability to be able to carry in a lot of other states outside of South Carolina. So just those two reasons alone for me are more than enough for me to have a concealed weapons permit. And I've had one for going on 30 years now. You know, when they first started offering it in the state, right after I'd got out of the Marine Corps, I got a concealed weapons permit. And primarily because every time I'd go and buy a gun, I'd get delayed. And it'd take me a week of waiting before I could go back and pick my firearm up. And I was like, this is crap. You know, I had a security clearance in the military. You know, I haven't committed any kind of crimes. There's no reason why I should be delayed. And then I found out that I could get a concealed weapons permit, and all of that went away. I'd show them my permit, pay for my firearm, fill out my paperwork, and leave and take it home. So I've had one ever since then, just for that very reason. Kevin Ramsey says, hey, Robbie. Kevin, good to have you on tonight. Skeeter's Buzz says, I teach the 18-hour New York State Concealed Carry course here in New York. The CCIA Concealed Carry Improvement Act didn't improve anything but made everything much more restrictive. Hey guys, I feel for anyone that lives in New York. I've got some family members that live in New York, and it is it's crazy what you guys have to deal with up there just to own a firearm. With all of the extra paperwork and back and forth between having your form signed and everything, it's ridiculous. I feel for y'all. Sandra Woodley says, hi from Oklahoma. Sandra, good to have you on tonight. Skeeter's Buzz says, when I move down to South Carolina, my adjustment period is going to be interesting. Skeeter's Buzz, just remember, if you want it and it's a firearm, you can legally own it in this state. And that's all you have to know about South Carolina. There's no going to the police department and having them sign forms and all of this. You go to your gun shop, you buy a gun, you fill out your 4473, you take it home with you. With the exception of NFA items, suppressors, and machine guns and things like that. And there's a federal waiting period on that side for them to process your Form 4. But your normal over-the-counter stuff, you can walk in and buy it and take it home the same day. GMA Nana says, hey, Robbie. GMA Nana, good to have you on tonight. Skeeter's Buzz, John G.O. Was going to ask if you, the attorney Robbie mentioned is the guy. He seems to be great. Skeeter's Buzz, Robert is awesome. You definitely need to get in touch with him, especially moving down from New York. He'll be able to give you a lot of guidance and get you pointed in the right direction when you get to South Carolina. Kevin Robbie says, hey, Bob, you're still in my prayers. Absolutely, Bob. You're in all of our prayers, bud, and we'll stay on our prayer list. Skeeter's Buzz says, Robbie, I agree with you on having the permit. John G has already schooled me on that aspect. Great info and great perspective on having one. Reciprocity and recognition alone is a huge benefit. Timothy Diem says, thanks, Robbie. Agree the benefits of having a permit are worth it. And Chase Kelly says, hey, Robbie. Good evening, sir. Chase, good to have you on tonight. Let's jump back into the questions over here, guys. Number 6. If I have a concealed weapons permit, do I have to have it on me if I'm carrying concealed? And the answer to that now with the new law is no. A concealed weapons permit holder or a person carrying a firearm without a permit pursuant to the law does not have to have a duty to notify a law enforcement officer that they are carrying a firearm, nor do they have to have a permit on them while they're carrying a firearm. So with the new law, you can carry with a permit on you. You can leave your permit at the house and carry without your permit being on you. And there's no penalty for not having the permit on you if you are carrying. So that was a big one in the past. If you are carrying a firearm on your person or in a concealed location in your vehicle other than what was prescribed by law, and you were stopped by law enforcement, you could receive a misdemeanor for carrying a firearm without having your permit on you, which is ridiculous. You're legally authorized to carry a firearm. You're legally you went through all the paperwork to be able to legally carry a firearm concealed. And so you walked out of the house and you left your permit laying on your nightstand for some reason. You don't have it on you. You could be fined for that, and penalized criminally for not having your permit on you. And the state has done a great job by doing away with that provision. So you can carry with your permit or you can carry without your permit now. And that to me was a big plus for the state when they were doing all this paperwork and processing this new law. Number 7, when will the new CWP classes be available? And this one I've done quite a bit of digging into, and right now the answer is I don't know. But as of 3/12/24, SLED, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, is developing a training program and a list of certified instructors to conduct the training. The training will be available to the public. The training will not be available to the public until the General Assembly appropriates funding in this year's budget. So as of right now, concealed weapons permit training is kind of in a limbo situation. You may be able to get a permit through an instructor that is certified already that you pay for out of your own pocket. That's one thing that was not really clear in their law. But I would, if I had to speculate and you wanted to take a concealed weapons permit class, I would say right now you could still take the class, you could still do the paperwork, pay for it yourself, submit the paperwork, and receive a concealed weapons permit through the old process. You'll just have to pay for it yourself. Once SLED finishes their training program and post a list of certified instructors and the General Assembly in the state approves the budget for it for 2024, then the state will pay for your permit and you won't have to pay for it yourself. But as of right now, if you take a permit from a certified instructor, that cost is going to come out of your pocket and the state's not going to pay for it. Number 8, how much will it cost me to get or renew a concealed weapons permit? A new or renewed concealed weapons permit will be free once the state gets the list of certified instructors and the training program done and the General Assembly approves the final budget. As of right now, getting a new CWP, you're going to have to pay for it yourself. If you're having to renew your concealed weapons permit, which I just did I just got mine back this week actually. But if you're renewing your concealed weapons permit, renewals are free. You don't pay anything to renew the permit. There's and it's weird, when you go to SLED's website for renewing your concealed weapons permit, there's a box you can click on to renew your permit online. And when you click on it, it tells you have to pay $50 to renew your permit, but it won't allow you to enter any information into the form that they have listed online. When you renew your concealed weapons permit for South Carolina, you have to print off the PDF version. You have to manually fill the information in, sign it, put it in an envelope, and mail it to SLED. You got to snail mail it. That's the only way they'll accept it. There's no online provision at this time to be able to renew your concealed weapons permit with SLED. You have to do the printable version, print it, manually fill it out, and mail it into SLED. This has been one of the things, I've had a lot of questions about this. I've seen a lot of people asking questions about renewals. Why do I have to pay $50 to renew it? There is no $50 renewal fee. The link that SLED has on their website for the renewal is a bad link. It doesn't work. You have to manually print out the PDF. You have to fill it out yourself, put it in an envelope, and mail it to SLED. And I think it took me about 60 days or so to get my renewal back from them. My wife's still waiting on hers, by the way. Oh, I'm just kidding. If she's watching, I'm sorry. I love you. But mine came back first. That's all I'm saying. But you do have to fill it out yourself. Let's Going to number 9. Where will concealed weapons permit classes be offered? And this is a big one here. I think this one's very important for anyone throughout the state that's looking at getting a concealed weapons permit once the new training program is implemented. And according to SLED, every county will offer classes at least 2 times a month. And if those classes are completely filled, they're going to add more classes every month until they stop filling the classes all the way up. Once they get to the point to where they're not reaching maximum capacity for every class, then they'll probably start backing down on the classes some. But if the classes are max capacity, they're going to add more classes every month until they're able to meet the demand for concealed weapons permits. And those are going to be in those concealed weapons classes will be offered in every county in the state. So if you live in Greenville, Pickens, Spartanburg, Union, whatever, every county in the state is going to have concealed weapons permit classes that are offered, that are free, that are being paid for by the state once SLED gets their training program and a list of certified instructors finished up. And that list of certified instructors is supposed to be posted on the SLED website to make it easy for you to find an instructor that's in your general area to be able to take the class from. Number 10, and this is where things really start to get interesting. Where can I legally carry a firearm, loaded or unloaded, in my vehicle? And the answer is a person who is not otherwise prohibited by law, and that means if you're not a felon and you can legally own and possess a firearm, can carry a firearm. You may lawfully store a firearm anywhere in a vehicle, whether occupied or unoccupied. So if you can legally own a firearm, you can have that firearm anywhere in your vehicle that you want, whether you're in the vehicle or you're not in the vehicle. Now, I will say this. If the vehicle is unoccupied, say it's sitting in your driveway at your house, take your gun out of your car and bring it inside, okay? And I'm saying this because every year I have person after person after person call me and say, hey, I left my gun in my car. You worked on it 17 years ago. Can you go back through your records and see if you can find the serial number for me so I can give it to the police and they can put it in their NCIC system as a stolen firearm? Look, one, you should have a list of all of your firearms, make, model, serial number, and caliber, written down in a book, whether you store it in a hard copy book, put it on a flash drive, whatever, doesn't matter. You should have a list of all of your firearms written down. Number 2, don't leave your gun in your car in your driveway. More cars are probably broken into in people's driveways than they are anywhere else because people feel safe at home. A lot of times they just leave their car unlocked and don't even lock it, even though they have a gun in there. And criminals are all about opportunity. If they walk up and pull the door handle on a vehicle and it opens, they're going to go through your car. And if they find a gun, guess what? They're going to take it with them when they leave. Don't leave your gun in your car. Take it out, take it in the house. Put it in a safe, put it up on top of the refrigerator, whatever's legal in your state, whatever you feel comfortable in your house doing. If it's just you that lives alone or you and your wife, put it wherever you want. If you have kids, secure it so your kids can't get to it. But take your gun out of your car. Don't leave your gun in your car, in your driveway, where it's a crime of opportunity for someone breaking into vehicles. All right, I'm going to climb off my high horse and not harp on that anymore. Is a concealed carry permit required to carry a firearm in your vehicle? Answer is no. And this is where things really start to get interesting. Anyone 18 years of age or older can carry a firearm in their vehicle with or without a permit. Okay, and this includes handguns and long guns. If you're 18 years old in South Carolina, you can now carry a handgun with or without a permit. And this is section 1623.20, 1623.420, and 1623.430. This is one where things, I had a long conversation with Robert about this one, and some of the questions that I had were, a lot of 18-year-olds are still in high school, and a lot of 18-year-olds may want to carry a firearm on them or in their vehicle for protection. And according to the law and the way the law is written right now, if you are 18 years old, with or without a permit, you can carry a handgun in your vehicle anywhere you want. Okay? I'm going to leave it at anywhere you want and let you read between the lines on that. And that one really surprised me. It really surprised me that the state did not put a restriction on 18-year-olds that are still in high school carrying a firearm in their vehicle on school grounds. Yeah, I agree and disagree with it. Okay, me having one of my boys is going to be 18 in just a few months, and he'll be a senior this year in high school. And it was kind of the reason that I was asking this question with Robert. If my 18-year-old decides he wants to carry a firearm in his vehicle, and it's very specific in the law about how and where you can carry a firearm. It has to be in a secured location in the vehicle. It can't be just anywhere like it is with a lot of the other restrictions with you being in your vehicle. But let me I'm going to pull this back up and kind of dig into this one a little bit deeper. Gotta find the part about the carry. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. So anyway, it was thought that I had a note taken on this and I can't find my note for it. So under the SLED provision that they sent out, it says prohibited locations for carrying. And you can't carry, and this is concealed carry, okay, or open carry. You can't concealed or open carry at a school, college, athletic event, not related to firearms. You can't concealed carry at a daycare or open carry at a daycare facility or preschool facility. Place where the carrying of firearms is prohibited by federal law, so federal courthouses, a lot of your federal buildings and things like that, you can't carry a firearm there. Prohibited locations: law enforcement facility, correctional facility, or detention facility, courthouse, courtroom, or other publicly owned building, whether owned by the state, a county, a municipality, or other political subdivision where court is held and during the time that court is in session. Polling place on election days, office of or business meeting of the government body of a county, public school district, municipality, or special purpose district, church or other established religious sanctuary, unless express permission is given by the appropriate church official or governing body. That was an interesting one. So here's the thing, guys. If you normally carry at church and you don't have permission to carry at church, know that the fine for carrying a firearm at church is significantly stiffer now than what it was in the past. Do some research on that if you're not authorized to carry a firearm at church, and make sure you talk to your church staff about that and get permission to be able to carry there. Hospital, medical clinic, doctor's office, or any other facility where medical services or procedures are performed unless expressly authorized by the appropriate entity. Basically, if you're not law enforcement or security at a hospital, you're not going to be authorized to carry there. The residence or dwelling place of another person without the express permission of the owner or person in legal control or possession of the residence or dwelling place as appropriate. So if you go to if you go to somebody's house and you don't have permission from them to carry, you can't legally carry in their house unless they give you express permission to be able to carry inside their house. And 11, place clearly marked with a sign prohibiting the carry of a concealable weapon on the premises in compliance with section 2331 to 35. A person who violates a provision of this item, whether the violation is willful or not, may be charged with a violation of section 1611-620 and must not be charged with or penalized for a violation of this subsection. So basically what this is saying is if you're carrying, so you go to the mall and you're carrying a firearm at the mall and someone sees your gun and they ask you to leave and you leave, it's basically no issue, right? If they ask you to leave and you don't leave and police come, they're going to trespass you and give you a warning. If you come back again to that property, then you're going to be subject to some pretty severe penalties for carrying a firearm on that property. And it really kind of digs into, let me see if I can find in my notes. I've got so many notes with this stuff. It's a little bit ridiculous. But there's just so much information here to be able to talk about. All right, here we go. If business and property owners and proprietors can still restrict people from coming onto their property with firearms. Does not apply to law enforcement and constables. If a business has a no concealed weapons sign, here's the important part, that complies with the statute relating to signage, right? And I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on that in this video, but do your research on the statute relating to the signage. If it's not correct, it's not valid. That's all that I'll say about that. And a person violates that owner's wishes by carrying on their property for a first offense, that person can only be charged under 1611-620. 1611-620 is a trespassing statute that is a misdemeanor punishable by 30 days and or up to a $200 fine. So if you're trespassed from that location for carrying, you're gonna get a trespassing fine, basically. And then B is if you've been warned or refused to leave after having been warned, then the fines can get more, they can get worse. You cannot possess a firearm on school property of any description or own property or premises of any public building unless the firearm is inside of an attended or locked motor vehicle and is secured in a closed glove compartment, closed console, closed trunk, or in a closed container secured by an integral fastener and transported in the luggage compartment of the vehicle. Now this one is where things get interesting, and this is what I was talking about earlier with once you're 18 years old, you can legally have a firearm, a handgun specifically, in your vehicle on school property at any time based on the way the law is written right now. It says you cannot possess a firearm on school property of any description or own property or premises of any public building unless, and that's the key word. With the unless part, the firearm is inside of an attended, I believe it's attended or unattended, attended or locked motor vehicle, so attended or unattended, and is secured in the glove compartment, a closed console, a closed trunk, or a container that is secured with a fastener in the luggage compartment. And then not included in the definition of property or premises in this section are streets, roads, roadways, or other rights of way that are opened full time to vehicular traffic. And then it gives some examples of that as well. But guys, if you're 18 years old and you're in high school and you want to carry a firearm in your vehicle legally right now, based on the way the law is written, this allows you to be able to carry a handgun in your vehicle legally without violating any state law or any school law or anything like that, which really was surprising to me. That was one of the big ones that I wanted to talk to you guys about, was 18-year-olds being able to carry a firearm on school property in their vehicle parked on school property. They can't carry the firearm into the school. None of us can legally carry a firearm into a school unless we're law enforcement, authorized law enforcement officer. But individuals 18 years and older can legally have a handgun in their vehicle as long as it follows those requirements as far as how to legally carry that firearm within your vehicle. Now, with that being said, if you mom or you dad have kids in elementary, middle, or high school in South Carolina, and you carry every day, you're going to pick your children up from school in the afternoons. When you drive onto school property, your firearm has to be in a secured location. It has to be in a closed glove compartment, closed console, closed trunk, or a container secured by an integral fastener and transported in the luggage compartment of the vehicle. You cannot legally concealed carry on school property, even inside your vehicle. You cannot legally open carry on your person inside of school property, inside your vehicle or outside of your vehicle. All right, the law kind of goes both ways, right? If you're on school property, that firearm has to be off of your person and secured inside the vehicle, whether you're in the car or out of the car. So make sure that you really take note of that for South Carolina residents with children. All right, that's a big one, and that one has changed. So make sure if you're on school property that firearm's secured properly, and you keep yourself out of trouble. We're going to take a few more questions here, guys, if y'all have anything, and then we're going to be wrapping up for the evening. I really appreciate all of y'all watching tonight. It's been great getting to share some of this information with you. Let's see. Skeeter's Buzz says, can a non-resident carry a borrowed gun from a friend while in South Carolina? I'll have to get back to you on that one. There was a section that I read about ownership of firearms, but I'll have to go back and find that one and get back to you on that one. Skeeter's Buzz, if you would shoot me an email with that question, or post it later in the comments after this video closes, and I'll answer that one for you. I'll do some research on that. I'm not going to speculate on it, but let me find the answer on that, and I'll get back to you. Chase Kelly says, Robbie taking pictures right now to send you. Sorry, off topic. Chase, no worries, bud. I'll check those pictures out as soon as I finish up with the live tonight. And Russ Michael says, graduated high school in '72. A lot of us had rifles or shotguns in our gun racks of our trucks to go out hunting right after class was over. You know, Russ, that has been a way of life in South Carolina for a long, long time. You know, guys would bring here's the thing. You go to school, you leave school, you've got a limited amount of time before it gets dark with hunting season. You want to be able to maximize your time in the woods, okay? And, you know, the kids back then, nobody's taking a gun to school to do anything nefarious. They're trying to maximize their time in the woods to be able to hunt after they get out of school, so they can leave school and go straight to the woods and get up in a tree stand. And I totally understand that and totally agree with that. And I think for a purpose like that, being able to get in the woods as quickly as possible after, you know, especially when hunting season starts, the time changes, it gets dark earlier. You need every moment that you can to hunt. And I I think that is a great reason to have a firearm in your vehicle, so you can get in the woods as quickly as you can. Mr. Boone says, Michael here from North Carolina. Late to the show again. We have constitutional carry in Georgia. From South Carolina originally. Wish I still lived there. But I wish you were still here too. You'll have to get up here one day. And Mr. Landfill says, Russ Michael, we still did in the early 80s, small town during hunting season. You know, here's the thing, guys. I would speculate to say that there's a lot of kids in South Carolina that even today, even though it's illegal, still have a gun in their vehicle to build during the hunting season so they can get in the woods as quickly as possible. The good thing is now, with this law being passed, they can do it legally instead of having to, you know, hope that they don't get caught and ask for forgiveness instead of begging for permission. So I'm really glad to see this, because I think it's going to be a big benefit for a lot of young men and women that love to get in the woods and hunt and spend as much time in the woods as possible. This is going to give them that extra time that they need to be able to get in the woods and hunt. Russ Michael says exactly right. Violence never entered our thoughts. Michael Benjamin, thank you for all the information. I'm sorry, Michelle. Michelle, good to have y'all on tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And if you have any questions, you know, y'all can always call me, or we can talk about it Sunday night in small group. We'll let everybody else can talk about whatever they want. We'll talk about guns and legal stuff. How about that? I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday night. But guys, that's pretty much everything for the show tonight. I've got through all of my questions and all of your questions. Remember to make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribing helps us to bump up in the Google algorithm so we can reach more people. So hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell at the bottom. That's notifications for upcoming videos. We've got a lot more videos coming out in the next few days. Really working on a lot of great content for you. And got one more little question here. We'll take a look at this one. John Preen Sr. says, can you give more info on the process to obtain a fully automatic weapon? Sure. Yep. Dig deep into the back pocket. In South Carolina, anybody can own a machine gun, short-barreled rifle, or short-barreled shotgun. The firearm had to be made and registered as a machine gun prior to May the 19th of 1986. Any firearm manufactured and registered as a machine gun prior to May the 19th of 1986 can be legally transferred from individual to individual. The big thing is finding the firearm that you want. You know, pay whatever somebody's asking for it. You fill out what's called a Form 4. It's a same form that you fill out for buying silencers and suppressors, or buying short-barreled rifles or short-barreled shotguns that are already manufactured. Fill out the form, fingerprints, passport photos, $200, mail it off to the ATF and NFA. They'll process all of the paperwork, send it back to the owner of the item, whether it's at a gun dealer or you're purchasing it from an individual. They'll send the approved form back to them once it's approved. And once you get the approval back, if it's from an individual, you go pick it up from them. If it's through a gun shop, then you do a 4473 and transfer that firearm and take it home with you. But South Carolina, it's really a pretty straightforward process to own a machine gun here. It's just machine guns are just expensive because there's a limited amount of inventory on them. Hey guys, that was the last of what I wanted to cover tonight. And John, thanks for asking that question. A little off topic, but hey, I'm always glad to answer you guys' firearms questions. You know, if whatever we're talking about during our video, if you have a question that whether it's related to our topic or not, if it's gun related, I'm going to answer it for you. Whether I get to it during the chat or answer it after the chat, your question will be answered. But thank you all for watching tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show, and make sure you tune in next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard.